Welcome to the whip stitch for hexagons join. If you have squares, you can also use whip stitch for your squares easily. And I do recommend this join for anyone who says that they will not sew their motifs together. So I pretty much only do join as you go joins, but this method is actually not that bad, and I recommend it for whenever you have only a little bit of yarn to join your motifs with, or if you'd like to use the cut end to sew your motifs together, you can do that as well. So the joining will be different colors, and you'll see that it doesn't show up very much. You can also weave all your tails in and then use either a color that will blend in with your color palette, or a contrast color will work very well. So when you do your whip stitch, when you're making your strips, as you'll see us do, then you're just going to join these short edges together and it runs into this hexagon. So, you know, you can't really keep going past that. So we're going to join in strips and then zigzag to join the strips together. And I'll show you guys how to do that. So first, your end is going to be cut to about 3 times the length of the side you're sewing together. So I'm sewing this bottom edge. So I'm just going to do about 3 times the length of this bottom edge and then cut it. Okay, so that way I can go ahead and just use my tail. So that tail needs to be located here at that point, so that whenever you sew them together, you start at this side and go across. So here we go. I'm good to go with my final hexagon in the row. The tail is here because that's where I'm going to pick up to go on the zigzag. The first seam we're going to sew is here. And so here I have my first 2 hexagons, minding that this is the final hexagon in my row, so my tail is where it's supposed to be. Okay, now I'm going to hold these with wrong sides together, and then I have my length of tail that I'm going to use. So I'm going to start with the center, the corner stitch here, and insert through this one front to back through the motif in the front, and then back to front and the motif behind. And I always double check because sometimes I go through the wrong stitch there. So it's the center stitch on both. So now I'm going to grab my end and pull it all the way through. Since we're sewing, normally I would be doing that with a tapestry needle, but I'm not using a tapestry needle, I'm using my hook. So now I'm going to go through and do that one more time, just so I can make the stitch there in the corner. Okay, and then just grab my yarn and pull it through to the front. Okay, so now I'm not gonna tug. I'm gonna make sure that stitch is snug, but I don't want to over tighten that stitch at all, because that's gonna completely ruin the look of the whole thing. I did it once where I did it like mattress stitch, and you know, whenever you do mattress stitch, you pull both sides really tight so that the motifs go together. But this, I tried it once with this, and it really ruins the look whenever you turn it back to the front. So I'm going to go in my next stitch here. Okay. And then just reach, and then just grab my yarn and pull it through the front. And that's all I'm going to do all the way across. So let me just work a few more stitches, and then I'll pause the video and finish, and then I'll show you how it looks. Okay, so I'm back, and I have my entire length of seam whip stitched here, and I went through one time through the corner stitch. Now I'm going to go ahead and reinforce the corner stitch by going one more time through that corner before I weave my end. So if I can get it there. Okay, so now I'm pulling it through the corner again, essentially. And now I'm going to open up the seam and show you guys. So the whip stitch, like I said, I didn't tug anything, and that's why it looks just like you can kind of barely see it there, especially because I used the tail end, so it's kind of blending in with this motif. And I really love the way it looks whenever you use a a contrast color. But here it is from the back. Okay, it looks great again. Looks great, nice and flat, and easy peasy using your hook. No need for a tapestry needle if that's what's keeping you away from sewing your motifs together. And then you just weave in this end, and if you're using the tail of your motif, then this end you would have woven it in anyway. So I have two more seams to sew, just like this one. So I'm going to go ahead and join this peach color seam and join this burnt orange color seam, just like I did. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the first couple of steps before I hit pause and do the rest of it. So I'm just locating the corner stitch here and holding my motifs with wrong sides together. I'm going front to back through that corner stitch, and then front to back through the corner stitch of the back motif. Okay, hook my yarn, grab my yarn, and then pull it all the way through. Secure it with going through another time. So once more, same corner stitches, just because I feel in the corners, that's where it tends to pull. And then just find my next stitch on the back motif, go through both, and then go ahead and pull the yarn through. So now I'll go ahead and hit pause, and I'm going to finish this seam, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish this one as well. All right, and I'm going to now I have 2 rows of hexagons. I purposely cut my tail short. That way I'm going to end up, here or something, and then I can add on my next tail portion, so I can keep going down the length of the afghan. And I wanted to show you guys how to join these together. So that's why I went ahead and I wanted to demo that portion of it. That's why I cut my tail too short. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys that technique when I get there. So what I'm going to do is I have these strips, right? I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side. My tiny little yarn, rescue yarn. So the strips, joining the strips together is the same. You're doing the same thing as you did when you were just joining 2 hexagons together. Whatever edges are touching, that's the ones that you're going to be joining with your whip stitch. Okay, so first I'll just scoop up this one, and that's where I'm going to get started. Obviously, your tail is going to be long, but like I said, mine is cut short, so I can show you guys that little trick. Okay, find the corner, pull it through. Since it's the corner, go through again. All right, now we find our next stitch, and our next stitch at the back side. Okay, pull it through. All right, so now I'm at my next corner, and I've run out of tail. So now I have to add on more of this color to keep sewing. Okay, so here we go. This is where we are. Okay, so we still have all this length to go. So I'm going to take my rescue yarn here, my next length of yarn. Okay, and I have my small length here that I'm going to be knotting. So first I go ahead and make my regular knot here, go swoop it under. Okay, now I'm going to take that same yarn that I just swooped under. All right. And I'm going to go through like I would make a square knot, but then I'm going to go through again. And that's what really secures it. Okay, I just learned this about a couple months ago. So I went through twice. So you can see it's twice there instead of just a regular once. So I have it like that, and I'm just going to pull. Okay, and that makes it extremely secure. Like I am really pulling on this thing, and it is not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to cut it, and I'm hearing y'all gasp. I can hear it through the fact that you're watching the video, and I can hear you gasp. I wanted to cut it even shorter, but I'm so chicken. Okay, so luckily my my yarn holes here are big enough for that knot to pass through. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull it through to the front until I exhaust it. Otherwise, I would have made sure the knot was close to the fabric. Okay, so I've got that going. Let me just keep going down the line here. I'll lay this out for you guys So now I'm at the place where 3 hexagons meet. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going here with my corner on the front of the hexagon and then the corner of the next piece. So this is my next motif now. Okay. And I'm at the corner, so I'm gonna go through twice. And then just keep moving on to the next stitch, making sure not to pull too tightly. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna step back and show you guys where I am. The length, and then continuing down the length of the afghan. All right, I wanted to pause real quick and show you guys when I do where 3 hexagons meet. So this is the corner that I work into 2 stitches onto this motif. So I go through and then I go through again to secure the corner, and then 2 stitches through the next motif through to the front of the work, and then through again to the front of the work to secure that corner. So where 3 motifs meet, the one corner that is pointing toward that seam gets 4 stitches through it, 2 for this motif and 2 for this motif, all in the corners. Okay, and then I keep going. And now when I'm not on a color that is the same as this tail, now it's kind of a contrast. And the reason why it looks so neat is because I didn't yank on the tail when I was doing the join. So if you keep the motifs like this and then just let it lay snugly over top, when you open it up, it'll look great. Okay, so now I'm gonna finish here and I'll be right back. Hey you guys, so this is how everything looks when it's all sewn together. First you make your strips and then you sew it together going along the diagonal. So yeah, I like this join. I use my hook, like I said, so no sewing, and well, it's sewing, but I use my hook, so I don't count it as like sewing. But you can see how it looks. I love it. I love the patchwork feel of it and the hand stitching kind of vibe that it gives, especially with the contrast. It just reminds me of like Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas or something, and the patchwork vibe. So yeah, I highly recommend, and you can test out different techniques like whip stitching through back loops only or whatever, but I think both loops always gives like a really sturdy, strong join. I hope you guys enjoyed this whip stitch join for hexagons tutorial, and I hope it's useful for you guys. And if there's any other kind of joins that you would like to see me do videos of, just leave a comment. If you did enjoy this join, of course, like and subscribe as always. And I've enjoyed making these joining videos. Eventually I'll branch out into free motif videos and everything. So this is just the very beginning of this YouTube channel. So I appreciate all of the love that I've received so far. And I will see you guys on the next tutorial. All right, y'all have a good day and happy crafting. Bye guys.